Welcome to Hockomock MOTOVLOG. I'm Alex.
I'm Jeff.
And today we're talking about group riding etiquette.
So, guys been around the channel, you know this is the second time he's ever kicked off a video. And we were kicking around the idea when we decided to shoot this video about what to shoot where we are getting towards the end of riding season. And we went for a ride Thursday. And we went for a ride. You almost ran out of gas again because things happen. And we ended up talking about hand signals and how messed up hand signals can be between who you're riding with, and then also etiquette about riding in a group. So, to kick things off, we don't have Sena headsets yet. We are in the process of working on that, and that makes life a whole lot easier because
it'll abolish the whole hand signals.
Right.
And just confusion.
Right. So when I first started riding, this mutual friend of ours, Kevin, he and I came up with a system. Smacking your tank means fuel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, 10 you never really used, but it would be like if we had to take like exit 12, it would be 1, 2, and he would know. I know there's a meme on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen it. This means this, you know. The right, left, or right?
Well, it's in the driving handbook.
Yeah, stop, slow down.
No matter what license you're going for, a permit,
it's there.
Yeah.
So, as motorcyclists, we all have come up with a unique way of telling other riders, hey, there's an issue. So, Alex wasn't able to tell me when his fuel light came on, so he rode up next to me and pointed down at his tank. I know with him that means, hey, I need fuel. We ended up stopping probably 400, 500 yards later, and he lifted his thing up and said, hey, yeah, I need to grab gas. I said, well, why don't we turn back, go back up 105, and we'll get fuel in Middleborough.
And this guy takes off before I can continue to say, hey, there's a gas station 20 feet that way.
My bad. So, there's a reason we're doing this video. It kind of came to our attention. We stopped, got gas, got coffees, which we're enjoying today, and we realized something. There is unsaid rules, unsaid body language or physical languages that are pretty universal. So one universal one is if you tap the top of your head, it means there's a cop. Now, in a car, you usually flip your high beams. See somebody tap the top of the head coming at you?
It's either cop or trouble up ahead.
Right. If you ever see a helmet down behind a motorcycle, that means they're in some type of trouble. We did actually encounter this. The helmet wasn't behind the bike, but the dude was sitting on a guardrail next to his bike as we were coming towards him. I told him this, which between him and I means slow down. And I pointed at the guy, gave him a thumbs up and like this, and he just was like, yeah, I'm good. And we just continued on our ride. Which
was a weird sight because he had a matching bike to mine.
Yeah.
Minus all the cool things I've done.
Tour pack. So, etiquette. This is kind of where we want to take the video. So, when I started riding, one of my buddies that I rode with always rode the left side of the road. So, I got used to riding the right. With Alex, he always rides the left, I always ride the right. And there are certain things that I guess I personally take for granted. I don't know about you, stupid bugs. While you're riding, that the other person you're with, whether it's a group of 1 or another 6 bikes even or more, that you take for granted. So one of which is which side of the road do you ride on? Are you a left or are you a right? Listen, both have inherent dangers. If you're on the right, you can make the argument you're riding more dirt, sand, debris. Somebody's pulling out of their driveway, you can get clipped. On the left, somebody not paying attention, going over the double yellow, debris, other shit in the road, oil. Both sides have their inherent risk. When we were coming home from Laconia, I was on the right, Alex was on the left, and we never really ride bar to bar. So if you don't know what that term means, it's handlebars are pretty much side by side. A lot of your motorcycle clubs will ride like that, and that's just what they do. I've ridden bar to bar with some people, you've ridden bar to bar with some people, we've ridden bar to bar together. there's a time and place for it. Usually I prefer to be a staggered method, unless you're in like stop and go traffic, then you're, you know, pretty much
You
neck
try
and
to
neck.
close a gap so nobody can try to get next to you or get too close to the bikes.
Yeah, and one of the big things I like about staggered riding is it always leaves you an out. So if somebody does pull out, you can go left. If, you know, somebody's coming on, you know, crosses a double yellow, he can come to the right. So another big thing that we talked about is we call them rotaries. Everywhere else in the country calls them roundabouts.
If they even have them at all.
Yeah. And it's kind of the rule of thumb. If you come to a stoplight or a stop sign, if y'all can't go, nobody goes. And I actually ran into this Saturday when I went for a little ride. 2 bikes pulled up behind me. One was a Victory and one was a Can-Am Spider. And when they pulled up behind me, I ended up seeing them come up in my mirror, and we all got to a stop, and they were close enough that we kind of looked together, but we weren't, obviously. And I could have went a bunch of different times. I chose not to, because in case they decided to try to go, accident happens, and that's the last thing you want to see in your mirror. So where should we take this? What's some etiquette things you've picked up over your time of riding?
Well, like we were just discussing, the staggered riding.
Yep.
It depends on the type of people you're with, obviously. That works best. A lot of people are die-hard staggered riding. A lot of people, like you mentioned, clubs, they're bar to bar. They fast and tight.
Yep.
That's the way they put it, fast and tight. They don't say bar to bar.
This is true.
But obviously, make sure if you're in a group, especially with people you haven't ridden with before, try to like mention, hey, if I do this or that, like we were saying with hand signals.
Yep.
This is what this means. Like obviously, you had the fingers up, fingers down for exits and everything.
Yep.
Just make sure you know proper ways to know what your buddy's trying to tell you.
That's a good point. So another thing I do want to touch on is, and I have since, I don't want to say owning a bagger necessarily, but riding with different groups of individuals, I have really found this to be helpful. And it's a pre-ride meeting. And this takes place at any gas stop you make, lunch stop, side of the road to pee,
Or the meetup spot.
or the meetup spot. I'm a firm believer in everybody, passengers and riders, everybody has a say in it. An incident happened last riding season where I was with quite a few bikes. There was probably 8 or 10 of us, and there was a lot of miscommunication. Some people took off, and about 5 minutes after we left where we all met, 2 bikes ended up hitting each other. Now, both riders were okay. One got taken by ambulance, but he was fine. It was more of a precaution thing. Both bikes ended up on a flatbed, and the ride went from 10 bikes to, let's say, like 4 or 5. And listen, that's not every accident. It's called an accident because it can be prevented. Sometimes.
Well, it's also called an accident because it could just happen at any time and to
Right.
anybody.
The situation that I believe I was the second to last bike, I said I would ride in the last position just so I can watch what's going on in front of me. I've never ridden with these people. I want a safe way out. And one kid turned real quick into a parking lot. He thought everybody knew we were going there. Everybody was going at a good speed, and one kid locked it up, tried to make the turn, and well, the rest is history. So, needless to say, I think meeting up before the ride, go over where you're going to stop, how far you're going to go over speed. I know, like, with the mutual friend Kevin, when I would ride with Kevin, or you would ride with Kevin, or even your own brothers. One thing to go over, hey, we're going to, I don't know, Laconia or Bentley's up in Maine. I put it out there. I'm putting my cruise control on 75, and I'll see you when I get there. I'm not cutting through, I'm not lane splitting, I'm not riding the breakdown lane, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. I'll see you when I get there. And I think a lot of people overlook that a lot of the time, And I think it's a really great idea to sit down and get everybody on the same page, because that can prevent so much miscommunication with everybody, where if you've sat down, you know, general route, hey, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. Everybody kind of has an idea. And the day that the accident happened, I didn't know we were stopping at the store, the store that we had stopped at. And granted, the kid could have, instead of slammed on his brakes, gone up, turned around, came back, here nor there. Shit happens. But nobody really knew where we were going. And then after that, after everything cleared up type of thing, we ended up kind of all getting together going, okay, hey, we're going to this gas station, fuel up, and then from here, we're going to go to here. And fuel is another really good important point. You know, me and Alex take it for granted. He's got a 5-gallon, I have a 6-gallon gas tank. If you're with a Sportster or an older bike that, you know, might not have a great fuel range, it's worth sitting down and saying, hey guys, listen, I'm on a Sportster. I get like 125 a tank. I'm really comfortable going 100 miles, and then we got to stop for fuel. Especially with highway speeds, you know, your fuel range may vary. So to kind of wrap up today's video, we just kind of wanted to, you know, let everybody know, it's especially where it's the end of the season. If you don't do it this year, maybe try next year. Start with a plan and have a conversation with everybody you're riding with. Because I know Alex and I often never have a conversation.
Well, we usually talk about it beforehand,
Yeah.
so we don't usually have to. But
yeah, it's
if we have to, we meet up in the shop to get the bikes. Talk
Yep.
about, okay, we're going here, like we've just discussed.
Yep.
I have the smaller tank and obviously the 5-speed and smaller motor.
Yep.
So, okay, I can go 100, let's say 175 in my bike. I can go 175 if we're going 80.
Yep.
We stop, say 155, 160.
Yeah.
That's usually the plan.
And I think a really good thing about that too is with having the discussion before you leave, you might find that somebody you thought would be okay with your ride, I'm all set. And this actually happened to me many, many years ago when I had my Road King. We met up to go down to the Cape for the vintage bike show and try to get all these people together. One group was meeting at one gas station. We were meeting at a Dunkin' Donuts, actually one right up here at the Rotary. And we rode to them, and then me and another kid took point riding front 2 bikes, and then one of his other buddies and somebody else took the back, and kind of kept everybody in the middle. And people ended up splitting off, going doing their own things. And then what really killed us when we were coming back, one guy who we thought was like knew what he was doing ended up having like zero clue, and kind of put a lot of us in danger in a sense, because he wasn't super comfortable riding on the highway. He talked a big game. And listen, check your ego and all that bullshit at the fucking door. And that is one thing I will kind of end this video with. That goes up my ass sideways. Listen, I don't care if you're on a sport bike, a Harley, a Shadow 750. Check your bullshit at the door, because there's no room for error. You're not in a car, you're on a bike, and it's one of those things where if you just say, hey guys, I'm not comfortable with the highway,
Say it.
if somebody came up to us and said, hey, yeah, we're going for a ride, blah, 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 hey, listen,
Just in general, just if you have a weird quirk about some
Yeah.
things, just say it.
yeah,
Like, don't be, like you said, don't be talking a big game, and then once it comes down to it, like, okay, now you're putting everybody at risk.
right.
So it's just unneeded.
So I think to kind of wrap this up, do yourselves a favor. If you're going to do a group ride, have everybody sit down and talk. Go over the basics. You know, hey, we're not going to go 100 miles an hour. We're going to do this. And this is going to kind of segue into next week's video about map versus GPS, which we're getting to. But everybody should have a clear-cut idea of where we're ending up. Maybe you get cut off from the group or something happens, but you know where you're going. You can go a different route. However, you try to keep everybody together and break it up. So, do us a favor, hit the bell notification. It'll let us know, or it'll let you know when the video is going to drop. Hit the like button. Any comments below, let us know. We want to hear what you guys think about doing a pre-trip meeting with everybody, and just some etiquette or some tips you may have for other newer riders, just to help. Because at this point, it's all you got. So, till next time, keep the rubber down, the shiny up.